When choosing a sim racing chassis, there are a handful of factors that reign supreme. Obviously, it needs to be very strong and flex-free, it needs to be compatible with all of our gear, and it needs to hold that gear exactly in the positions that we want it to be in for maximum comfort and best performance. And if it delivers a touch of personality with that performance, well, that's the sweet spot. And that takes us to the AZ Racing CS Pro. A modular rig that aims to check all of those boxes and maybe a few you didn't expect. This is the AZ Racing CS Pro, a $349 modular cockpit that can run Formula 1, GT, rally, even karting depending on if you have the right seat. AZ Racing sells a variety of different seats to finish off this rig from $99 to $399. Or you can bring your own. Now, unlike most chassis that I've tested, the CS Pro actually uses open-ended box tubing. Kind of basic if you think about it, but it does look super beefy. The lower frame is powder-coated black with inserts for pedal, seat, and shifter mounting. From there, it rises into a rather elegant red bent-shaped tubing that actually has wire pass-throughs, capped with a white steel wheel deck that is pre-drilled for most of the common wheelbases out there. The wheel deck adjusts up to 70 degrees with 7 centimeters vertical travel. Now, AZ Racing claims this wheel deck will support up to a 38 Newton meter wheel deck, and you can see it just utilizes 4 bolts for adjustment and lockdown. We'll see if that's actually strong enough. Down at the pedals, the CS Pro gets clever. 2 sliding bars that guarantee almost any pedal set will fit. It then has a tilt up of up to 35 degrees and fore and aft travel of 32 centimeters. They even rate these for up to 250 kilograms of braking force. I added their pedal sliders, which increased it by $29, but it's really nice if you're ever doing driver changes of any kind. All the pedal assembly is also finished in that black powder coating that we saw on the base. As I mentioned, the CS Pro can be set up in a variety of different driving positions, and that starts with having 2 different mounting locations for the seat. And then that gets pushed even further depending on which seat you choose. For my build, I went with AZ's adjustable reclining seat, and I have it mounted in a very GT driving position. It comes with sliders pre-installed, and that gives you about 7 inches of fore and aft adjustment. I mentioned that you can bring your own or choose from a variety of different seats that AZ Racing has available, starting off with the karting seat, which is going to add $99 to the overall price. They also have a $199 foldable fixed back seat, a $299 fixed racing seat, and a $399 Formula style seat. Or as I mentioned, you can bring your own. Whether it be a junkyard seat or a fancy Sparco racing seat, you're going to be able to put it into any kind of driving position that you want. So whether you're looking for an upright NASCAR style or a laid back, low slung F1 style, you're going to be able to match that out of this chassis. So now that the rig is fully drivable, let's get it out on track and see how it actually performs. With the rig all ready to go, we're looking at $677, including the pedal sliders, which is a very inexpensive price point for a fully complete rig with this much adjustability. I was able to lock in a perfect GT driving position. Wheel height, angle, distance, spot on. Same with the pedals. And that's critical because if your wheel isn't exactly where you want it to be, those smooth, fast inputs become a challenge instead of second nature. For this testing, I'm using a 12 Newton meter wheelbase. That's medium strength in today's sim world. Under normal driving, the CS Pro's wheel deck felt solid. No wiggle, no vibration, no flex that I could notice while on track. However, doing a push and pull test in the pit, yes, you can see a little flex, but in practice, it holds up. I've seen other rigs with the same 4-bolt locking system, and this one's no worse. It's actually a little easier to dial in than a full profile chassis, even if it might scuff the paint if you're constantly readjusting it. But in the end, it actually held stronger than I thought it would. Down at the pedals, I was just as happy. I mounted them low to match a GT style. Feet a bit below the hips, thighs supported by the seat. That's exactly how you want it to feel. The pedal plate is angle adjustable up to 35 degrees, so anyone can get their sweet spot there. It felt secure, and the sliders guaranteed the perfect distance. Under heavy braking, I did notice a touch of flex at the rear crossbar. To be clear, I never felt that while driving either. I only saw it later in my footage. My hydraulic load cell pedals are built on controlled flex, so the chassis flex was basically slightly masked. Worth noting, but not a deal breaker. The reclining seat is what you'd expect from a generic online option. Black synthetic material that feels halfway between Alcantara and cloth, with red stitching and an AZ logo. The cushioning is on the firm side, and the back is a little bit narrow. At a 32-inch waist, I fit fine, with the bolsters keeping me centered. The bottom's a little wider, but the lumbar bump is more pronounced than I like. Some will prefer that support. I usually like flatter seats. Still, thanks to the overall driving position and contact points, it was comfortable enough for long stints. The bottom line so far, the CS Pro kind of impresses me. It's compact, it's unobtrusive, it's priced for newcomers to our hobby, and the seating position is pretty good, the seat's moderately comfortable, and so far, so good. The CS Pro is already on the budget side of things, but the real surprise comes when you start adding accessories. The accessories for the CS Pro are downright inexpensive when compared to the competition. I was supplied with the shifter mount, which requires the expansion bar for a total of $88 extra. The expansion bar itself bolts to the lower frame on either side of the rig, and that bar is just another piece of that box steel with holes drilled in it. It actually kind of looks like a fence post. And it's also powder coated in thick black. The shifter mount, finished in the same white as the wheel deck, adds some nice contrast and uses a sliding rail system to mount the gear, just like the pedals. It can fit almost any shifter or handbrake, and the whole mount can be moved front and back on the bar. There is no height adjustment, but otherwise, it's really slick. Next up is the keyboard tray, adding another $59 to the total cost. Now that is ridiculously cheap compared to the competition, and it is very basic, but it gets the job done. It's also finished in that smooth white, and it articulates at 3 points, so you can swing it in and out of the way. You can tighten the hinge bolts to change how stiff it feels, but it's just metal on metal for friction and maybe even a little scuffing. No bearings, no bushings. It's designed to mount on the left upright with 2 bolts. Technically, there are holes on the right side too, but I never found an angle that worked for the keyboard holder, which was kind of a bummer. Now, one accessory that was going to be really put to the test in my scenario was the computer tray, adding another $59 to the total cost. This actually bolts directly to the upright behind the wheel deck. Super solid and big enough for most PCs, measuring in at 20 by 12 inches. Now mine's a monster tower that's actually larger than that tray, so I had to kind of put it at an angle, but that thing does feel pretty sturdy. It's also coated in that black powder coat like the other parts of the black portions of the rig. Now that serves as the base for the monitor mount which I got, which adds another $49 to the total cost, and it uses that computer tray as a mounting point, so you actually do need the computer tray to use the monitor mount. It's the same black powder coat, and it's fully adjustable in height, angle, and distance. They even make an extender if you want to bring it further forward. I hung a massive 49-inch curved widescreen on it, and that thing's as heavy as a small child, but it held it in position without an issue. I was able to get the screen right where I wanted, no fuss. So with all these accessories bolted on, it's definitely looking more like a complete rig. You might even say it's starting to look a little more like a pro rig. So I'm gonna get my monitor, the computer, all of our extra gear on it, and it's really gonna be a test to see how it does with all that added weight. So we're gonna get that bolted on, get out on track, and see how it does in round 2. We already focused on the main driving experience, so now I really want to focus in on the accessories, starting off with the shifter. And I got to tell you, AZ Racing did a lot here with the shifter mount. With the side rail method, I could dial in front to back positioning perfectly. My compact shifter lined up well for height too, though with no adjustment, I think taller ones might end up sitting a little too high for my taste. Left to right, I had plenty of flexibility, and I even mounted it close enough that I could still run a mouse beside it. Pretty slick. And strength-wise, honestly, it feels stronger than the wheel deck. Rock solid. The keyboard tray, well, it's inexpensive, and it feels that way. Just a metal swing arm with a bolt. No bushings, no bearings, no lockdowns, no frictional adjustments. Rudimentary. Mine sat at a slight funky angle, and if my keyboard didn't have rubber feet, it probably would have just slid all around. That said, for 59 bucks, it's hard to argue. It kept my keyboard off the floor, and it worked when I needed it while driving. And for me, it's more of a nice upgrade later than a must-have item. I do wish I could mount it on the opposite side of the rig though. Next up, the computer tray. I'll admit, I was skeptical. My PC is massive, and fitting it on there was creative. It sat at an angle with its feet up on the lip, which looked sketchy. And because it mounts on the upright, I expected it to bounce all around. But to my surprise, it held firm. I didn't even have to strap it down, and it still worked. It saved me space, kept the wiring cleaner, and for normal sized PCs, it'll be no problem at all. Finally, there's the monitor mount. This one requires the computer tray, so you'll need both, and I pushed it to the limit by hanging a 49-inch curved ultrawide on it. But once in place, it held position well. Driving hard, I could see a touch of a wobble, but it wasn't distracting. 90% of the time the screen stayed perfectly steady, and compared to a separate floor stand that eats up room, this is a huge win for space and cleanliness. Yes, if you really torture the wheel with violent pushes and pulls, you'll see both the monitor and the PC shake. But let's be real, you don't do that in a car, and you won't do it here either. At this point, I pushed the CS Pro as hard as I could, from the seat, behind the wheel, with all the accessories. So let's head back to the bench and see where it really shines and where it falls short. Well, it's time to call it like it is. The good stuff, the not so good stuff, and finish it off with the bottom line. No fluff, no sugarcoating, just how it stacks up. So let's kick things off with the good, and that being a low entry price, $349 for the base chassis. Broad seat options from $99 to $399, or bring your own. Solid value when fully built, $677 with seat and pedal sliders. Modular design, GT, Rally, F1, or even karting, just semi-seat dependent. Strong overall construction, steel tubing, thick powder coating. Good range of adjustability. Small footprint, compact for smaller rooms. Shifter mount is stronger than the wheel deck. Accessories, very inexpensive compared to competitors. Computer tray, surprisingly sturdy, even with a heavy system. Monitor mount held a 49-inch curved screen securely. And now on to the not so good, and the first one was just a matter of taking my time, and that being a few assembly quirks. Getting some of the holes lined up was a little tricky. Wheel deck shows flex during push and pull tests. Adjusting the wheel deck may scuff paint with repeated use. Slight pedal flex under heavy braking at the back bar. Reclining seat, a bit hard and narrow, may not fit larger drivers. Keyboard tray feels cheap, basic construction. Computer tray not large enough for oversized PCs. Heavy monitor caused slight wobble under aggressive driving. Extreme push-pull test shows noticeable monitor and PC shake. And now on to the bottom line. The CS Pro might not be the perfect chassis, and to be honest with you, I'm not even sure that's what they're trying to do. What they are doing is carving their own lane with a unique design, a modular design that's affordable, and when you consider those factors, they've done a very good job. You get a ton of options for how you want to drive, and you don't have to spend a fortune to get into it. Now with that said, being different isn't always seen as being universally attractive. For some, this is an unconventional design. Yes, it's a little rough around the edges. And while affordable is good, affordable can also feel a bit cheap in spots. At times, it comes off like a really elaborate DIY project with all the quirks that brings. But if you're the kind of driver that isn't looking for a cookie cutter rig, you're sick of the profile chassis, you want to be unique and you don't want to spend a fortune for it, the CS Pro actually has a lot to offer. This could be a very cool solution that delivers a lot of bang for the buck. And that's a wrap on the AZ Racing CS Pro chassis. I have to tell you, it is not often that I am surprised by something that comes in for review, but this one definitely caught me off guard, and I can't wait to hear your comments on this rig. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can find out when our next video comes out. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.